Delving into the valve body here, and this is equally as crudified as the rest of the transmission, not surprisingly, but I mean, we got heavy, thick goo here in the valve body plate, and this is all dirty. I mean, here's thick residue. So it was definitely time for a cleaning at a minimum. Well, here's a pro tip. This is a 56 or 7-year-old gasket we've got here that we're dealing with, and it's not wanting to come off at all. So I'm going to have to chisel it off. But when you get one of these kits, you get multiple decals. You get multiple gaskets depending on what year transmission you have. So you want to match this up now before you hackery that original all up. And it turns out it's this one. You can see these openings here are the easiest way to tell the two apart. There's also some differences up in here. But make sure you match that up before you get too far. Otherwise, you're going to be baffled as to which one you may need. Alright, well this sucks. This is like 30 minutes of my life so far. Chipping this old gasket off of here. This is just miserable. It's about as much fun as prepping for your colonoscopy. I don't know of an easier way to do this. You know, I like to take my air-powered cleaner to it with its little 3M roll-lock disc on it, but you can't do that with these. That's a really big mistake. So I guess we just keep plugging away at it, but this is not fun. Do not look forward to this if you're taking one of these apart. Alright, back to it. I wonder what Vice Grip Garage is doing today. It's probably not doing this. An hour after I started, this is where we are. Alright, so here's some weirdness. I'm not sure if somebody has been in this transmission before or not. It wouldn't appear to at first glance, but I'm finding some things that lead me to believe that maybe it's been apart. One is that there is a spring and dowel missing from this one-way clutch. I can't imagine I would have lost it. The springs it's easy to lose, but not one of those pins. They're pretty substantial. And the only place that this thing's been is on this table. From the time I took it out of the case, right there, to the time that I put it here. And it was missing when I picked it up off the table after it dropped out of the case. So that makes me wonder. I haven't found those pieces anywhere. And the other was, when I was doing the valve body, which I finally got finished with, this arrangement here, I'm trying to think which one it was now. I think it's this one, yes. This piece and this piece were reversed in the order that they came out of the valve body. So was it done at the factory that way, or did somebody have their fingers on this before? Or is the book wrong? Well, I seriously doubt that the book is wrong. So I put it back together the way the book illustrates it. I mean, it did function before, but I didn't really drive it enough to say it worked well or not. So I'm going with this, because this is the factory service manual, and I can't imagine that we would have had an exploded view backwards all these years. So that's where we currently are. The case is completely apart. I just finished replacing the shift seal, which is in here, and the O-ring on the outside. And I can't stress enough when doing this, because it made me look twice. When you take these things apart, make sure you know what position these parts are in, because this lever can go on this shaft two different ways. And if you do it wrong, you got to tear the whole freaking transmission apart to fix that. So, not cool. All right, so that's currently where we are with the C4 rebuild. And going to start attacking these clutch packs next. I've got the case finally cleaned up enough that I don't feel bad about using it and moving it around. This bushing was worn on mine, and I'm replacing that, but despite freezing this, I couldn't drive it in very far, and worrying about the risk of damaging this trying to hammer it in, I'm just gonna press that in. I don't currently have a press. I'm debating if I want to buy one or if I just want to go down to the local garage and have them do it, but that's the current status of that. So we're going to get back to it here and press on. Okay, we're diving into the clutches now, and here's what we found. These things are totally wasted. That explains a lot of the chunkulas and slime that's inside this thing. So these are junk, obviously. And these actually didn't look too bad on this one. You could still see the ink imprints on a couple of these, but those are definitely wasted. I do have a little bit of a concern here with the amount of rust that's on this thing. Now these are where the bands go, so I don't think this is going to matter. But it's definitely got some mortar intrusion here. It must have happened when it was sitting. So hopefully that's not going to be any problems. I'm going to try to figure out a way to clean that up. But that's where we are currently. I got to get a couple of clamps to be able to compress this inner piece here. It's all spring loaded, so I can get that out because that has a seal around it. If you're doing one of these C4s, one of the problems that you're going to run into is removing this guy here, because most wrenches won't fit. This is too narrow of a gap. And the shop manual makes reference to, you know, a special tool or, you know, how to make one out of your snap-on wrench. Yeah, we're not going to do that. So what I decided to do instead was I went to Harbor Freight and I bought this set of wrenches, 9 pieces, for $10, and took one of these and made a sacrificial lamb out of it in a couple minutes with the grinder, and now we've got a wrench that actually works. So always think about Harbor Freight when you need to do something like that, where you got to butcher a tool, because in this case it doesn't have to be, you know, the most ultimate super strong tool, just one that you can make work. $10, not a bad deal. And I got 8 more. All right, we're under the car, and this shows the Addco sway bar I just got. This is a 1-inch bar. It's a larger diameter than the factory one would have been. You can get them larger than this, but I think 1 inch is plenty. The sway bar from the factory was only on, as far as I know, the station wagon models. It may have been on the sport coupes, I'm not sure. But they're not easy to find. And they're not the biggest thing either. These are 1 inches are significantly bigger than the originals. The originals mount here on the frame rails. There's actually these perches here, you'll see, that are welded on. And the holes are already drilled and everything for them, so there's nothing required to put a sway bar in one of these cars other than the sway bar and the hardware, which Addco does not supply the bolts that go here. Now, I just mocked this up, so these are too long. I'm going to replace those with proper grade 8 bolts. But they do give you the end links and all the hardware for that, and that just goes in the holes in the lower control arm. And show you how this mounts, in case you're trying to figure it out, because it does not come with any instructions at all. So you have to figure out which way this bar gets oriented. The short version is that the ends curve to the top. So it kind of is self-evident once you're under here, really. But very easy to install. I got this on eBay from an independent vendor for less than Summit's price, even with a 10% discount coupon. So it pays to shop around on these. Addco is pretty much the only ones that make this. So no matter where you're buying it, it's going to be an Addco bar, which is fine because they're very good. I've used these in the past. I had one on my F100, and they work really well. They're decent quality. As you can see, they got grease fittings here for your center bushings, keep them from squeaking. So really, I have no complaints with these products for what they cost. There is another brand out there, I want to say it's Hellwig, that's probably close to twice as much, and I don't know why you would spend the extra money, honestly, for a street car, but that's that. So just wanted to show that. I got that in, got a good price on it, thought I'd buy it a while. And this should transform the handling quite a lot. All right, and back in the world of the C4 transmission, I got the springs and dowels, the kit for that. I'm missing just one for some reason. I don't know why. So I think this was about 15 bucks. And took these guys down to my friend's place and got them, put these on the lathe, and we just spun them and went over them with some polishing cloth and got most of the ugliness off. I mean, there's still pits in there, but barring purchasing new ones, which I am not going to do, that's as good as they're going to get. This one's probably the nastiest. You can see there's definitely pits worn in here, but this is only a surface for one of the shims to ride on, so I don't anticipate that being a problem as time goes on. The other thing was the tail shaft housing. I got this bushing, or whatever you want to call it here, pushed in with a press. He also had one of those that we could use, so I did not go out and buy a hydraulic press for $190. I don't know that I would use it enough to justify its existence here in the shop. I'd love to have one, but see if I can keep my eyes open for a used one maybe. So today begins the reassembly process, and we'll start a new chapter once that's going on, or hopefully done. See how far I get with that today and get that back in the car.